our board of directors. So Michael and Greg Pacheco are here, Michael Stephen Pacheco, as well as the Driscolls who are on the board, Mileva, Dave. So they really help take care of the organization in a lot of different ways, drive a lot of the work that we do. The Scientific Advisory Board is a really important group. It's about 30 experts from across the globe. We have representation from New Zealand and Japan, lots of countries. So they help to, one, like the diagnostic criteria that we discussed, they helped and collaborated, which for Dave to be able to get almost 30 expert physicians to agree on one set of criteria was, you know, a huge, huge accomplishment. But they help to drive our prioritized research agenda so that we make sure that we're working on the most important things. And we also have an advisory council that helps promote awareness and fundraising. So they're based here in Philadelphia, and we've gathered a great group of about 10 really senior people from organizations such as the head of a television company, the head of a marketing firm, the head of law firms. So within their networks and their contacts, we're really able to help drive a lot of the PR that we've gotten, get some pro bono support for things like marketing and telling our story. So they're a really great group from that awareness and fundraising standpoint. And you can see that those three areas that I covered, that's really what we're focused on. The awareness, the research, fundraising, and then of course on the outside you can see our physician network and our patients and loved ones. But all here. So this year we actually took a different approach to the way that we organized because we wanted to make sure that we were focused on the most important things. Obviously, there are many directions that we could take this work and a lot of things that we want to do, but we wanted to make sure that we were focused on these 8 most important goals that we have. So the first is around the drug that Dave discussed earlier, sirolimus. So we had some excellent news at the end of last year that a grant proposal that Dave had worked tirelessly on for many months, this R01 grant from the National Institute of Health. It is the oldest grant and one of the most difficult grants to support. And Dave is probably one of the youngest people to ever receive this grant. And a lot of people that apply for it have been studying like one disease for like 40 years and have tons of data and tons of expertise. But the research and the story that Dave was able to pull together was strong enough that we were able to secure this grant, which is going to fund a clinical trial of sirolimus. So we're really excited for that. The team's doing a lot of work to get ready for it now. So we're deciding what the locations will be, getting a lot of approvals, and then we'll be enrolling patients in 2018. And we're hopeful, yes, it's really awesome. It's really, really huge news for people like me who aren't necessarily in the medical community. I had to educate myself, but for a researcher, this is really like the pinnacle of where it could be. So we're just really, really proud of that. The second piece, you can see under research, there are 3 areas. So the second one is about prioritizing and executing our research studies. So we have a ton of work in flight, and they perform the strategic research, also managing our physician platform and helping with groups like that scientific advisory board and this big hematology meeting that we have in December with ASH. So Dale, who you met earlier, does a lot of that work. You've also seen Sheila, who is working on our biobank and registry, as well as the data analysts that were here. So this is really about, Accelerate is about getting medical records from as many patients as we can to try and learn more from medical history and treatments, whether they work or not in individuals. So far this year, we had 64 patients enrolled in Accelerate, which is really exciting. And we're also collecting new samples for research. So this year we have 41 samples from 24 patients as of August. And we just added 14 again. We'll update the metrics spreadsheet. We track everything in spreadsheets. So this is such a huge part of our organization and really for the future of our organization to be able to have samples to call on to do research with, because there have been times where we've spent years trying to procure samples. And it's a really big challenge, especially in the rare disease space. So we're so thankful for all of you and all the wonderful patients who are, willing to make those donations. So now to fundraising. We have one part of the organization that's focused on major donors. So these are companies like Janssen Pharmaceuticals actually sponsoring this event today. We got a grant to be able to put on this program, offer you all travel grants, and really make it all happen. They're also sponsoring our ASH meeting this year, which will bring together physicians for research, conversation, sharing information. It's been several years that we've been doing this, and each year it continues to grow and get better. But partnerships like that are really important for this organization because we can talk a bit more about development and fundraising later, but although we've done an incredible job at growing our donations and growing the amount of money that we can put towards research, we are just really far from what other organizations have from a resource standpoint. So we're really driving as much as we can, but these big partnerships are really important to us, along with individuals who have the capacity to give large gifts. So we maintain a network and have had several, actually $100,000 donations from people who really believe in the work that we're doing. And they feel so connected, as though they're really as an extension of our team, and they have the means to be able to support this really important life-saving research that we're doing. So we ensure that we keep them in the loop, we give them updates on research, we tell them about new opportunities to get involved, but some really special people are so important to this organization. And then we have events and campaigns. So our big annual event is the Quest for a Cure Gala. So it is our 4th year, and it'll be hosted here in Philadelphia in November. We've had great success with that event. Actually, starting the first 2 years, we had it in the hospital because, of course, we wanted to raise as much money as possible. So we said, we're not doing anything fancy and paying for a hotel, and we want to put as much into research as we can. So the event just continues to grow each year. We have a committee that's putting on. Actually, David's mother-in-law, Patty, is a huge part of the organization, and she and Melissa are leading the charge. So we're excited for November. So we have several annual events like that, and then of course our warriors put on local events, in your communities, and we have volunteers and just other, community members in our network here in Philadelphia that help us with putting on all different types of events, whether it's, happy hour at a bar where you're going to give, a certain amount of the proceeds to us, or hosting an event in a space you have. So we're really excited for the fall, where we tend to have more events than throughout the rest of the year. And another part of this is our merchandise and swag that you saw out there. So it is available to purchase on the website, and 35% of those proceeds go right to research as well. And lastly, our volunteers. So we're able to put 95% of every dollar that we raise to research. Other nonprofits do not do that. If you were to look at other, because you have to file it with your taxes, we've done some research, I'm not going to call you now, but it is nowhere close to 95%. And the reason why we can do it is because we're staffed by volunteers. So it's obviously a top goal for us to be able to recruit this top talent, retain them, get them engaged with the CDCN. And throughout the years, there have probably been over 100 easily volunteers that have come through the organization, whether they just worked on one project and then went to medical school or went on to pursue their dreams and their careers. But the volunteer network is so important to be able to accomplish what we have, because there aren't paid full-time staff that come through and are funded by the donations that we receive. So we're really proud of that, and then obviously just very thankful to have such special people working with us. It's anyone, it's loved ones, people who have been affected, it's students, whether they're undergrads at Penn, medical students, MBA students. Obviously Dave's work here at Penn opens up an amazing network of some pretty brilliant people who have a few credentials to help us out. And lastly, I'll talk a bit about communication, but actually on the next slide, I'll get into that a bit more. But of course, we have our social media. I hope you all receive our newsletter, the Accelerator, and then the press that Dave mentioned. So we were really lucky to have a ton of exposure last year, and something that we're focused on now is turning that awareness and communication into donations and into dollars. So we hope to be able to leverage these platforms to get the word out. And really for all of you, it'll make telling your story that much easier if there is more awareness in the community. It won't be this conversation of, what is Castleman disease? I've never heard of that. So we're working really hard to get the word out to the general public, as well as the medical community and the patients that we mentioned. So I did already talk a bit about development and fundraising. You can see there's some red on this slide. It's actually missing one X. Does anybody want to guess with the additional digit what we've raised over the past 6 years?
5.
5? A little higher. But over 6 years, we've raised $2.2 million for research, which you all saw the timeline that Dave went through before. This disease was discovered in the 50s. And from that point until when CARE and the CDCN started their work, there really wasn't much progress. There weren't, these types of dollars going towards finding a cure for this disease. So we're so proud. We're going to continue to, obviously grow and expand, and hope to see that number, quadruple in the years to come. One event that I didn't mention is our $1 Million Bike Ride. That's actually put on through Penn's Orphan Disease Center. And this is a special event for us. Obviously, it's here in Philadelphia, but also they will match the donations that we receive to fund research studies. So we've participated in this bike ride for the past several years. It takes place in May, and it's just a great event, and it brings together a lot of these rare disease organizations who face a lot of the same challenges that we do. So you are going to hear a ton about research today. So I will just say that we've launched over 20 research studies. Now, people on our scientific advisory board, our advisory council who have backgrounds in pharma and medicine, this blows people away to think that in this period of time, we've launched 20 research studies. And right now, how many are in flight?
I think we've only finished a few of those. It's actually over 20 that are actually.
So they're happening now, all over. So whether it's here at Penn, across the country, this is such a huge part of what we do. It's really why we're here, curing this disease and supporting the patients that have it. But this type of focus and progress really, it's rare across other organizations to see this volume in such a short amount of time. So again, those who are in the medical community can really appreciate this statistic, and it's all of the hard work that comes from this group, which is so exciting. Dave mentioned Blood, the hematology journal where we've published several papers, but we continue to publish our research findings in, again, that collaborative approach with the medical community. And we have summarized all the known treatments for Castleman disease on our website. So this is another great resource that you might be able to share with your physicians, as well as these papers, that are available. I'm sure that they have, these subscriptions. We have the literature and the names and et cetera online where you can access that. So, are there any questions about what I just covered about our organization? It's pretty great, right?
How do the patients do? What are the kinds of things that patients do?
Yeah, so we love patients to get involved. I think we'll talk about that a bit more later. But one, become a Castleman warrior. Mileva does an awesome job leading that program. We try and get together on calls monthly, talk to each other and Dave about just how things are going. How are you feeling? What challenges are you facing? How is your treatment? We can set up a fundraising page where then you can share that link with your loved ones, put on events. So the Warrior program is just an awesome way to get involved. Of course, donating samples, which many of you already have done. That is so, so important to us. And really sharing this information. I mean, you've already heard it how many times today? But share it with, your physicians, your colleagues, your friends, your loved ones. Really just getting the word out can make a really big difference, and sharing your story is so, so impactful. I can't say enough the amount of times that I've spoken with patients and they're just like overwhelmed by the response that they've gotten in terms of opening up, letting people in and sharing that story, and hopefully we can drive more awareness and fundraising to drive research through this. So thank you all for being here, and I'll invite Dr. Van Ree up to talk more about Castleman disease.